The world is in turmoil. I used to say the world is in disturbance, but it's much worse. That's my intuition. And when we are in such a state, what do? I go back to samadhi, but I thought about Eight Noble Paths, the Buddha's teaching, and this is mainly for those who are dedicated to study, learn, and practice. There are three different passages. One is Shomon, and that's this one, and the other one is Bosatsu, which is Bodhisattva, and the last one is Engaku, which is just the intuition to live life kind of thing. My explanation may be insufficient, but you can take a look at it on the internet. So sheela, samadhi, panna correspond to Eight Noble Paths, and I like to go back to go through that 8 points, because in turmoil, when things are so turbulent, how do you find the path? I've been feeling that every night I dream different things. I wake up and wonder about my life in the past. And I feel like that's because what's going on in life is making me to revisit, like a checking what has happened in my life and what I have learned and how I relate to the current situation. One thing, maybe this is a little bit of a finance area or money. I felt something is going wrong, so I sold the NVIDIA stock, which I had years. I sold prior to that too, so it's gone. And I sold various stock, and Tesla, for example. So I did prepare for and also pick the timing, if you call that, because of this turbulence. But I thought about selling whole, which I didn't. I couldn't figure out what to do with the cash. My idea is all the net asset I have is gonna go into Vipassana, 95%. But I hesitated. I had other things to do. That's typically is my excuse when I didn't do things. I was busy doing something else. It's too late. Charlie Munger said something I like, just two of them. One of them I quote quite often. Don't go where you may die. He passed away 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, I believe, almost, at the age 99, almost 1 month before he was to be 100 years old. So he lived his life. And the other quote I can relate to is, for happiness, envy is the big enemy. So you're comparing with others, not confident within yourself. I would interpret like that. And the confidence is something to do with knowing yourself and being able to make a good judgment, including not to be envious of others, but for us to lead the path which is right, connecting to the heart, go with the laws of nature, and understanding the external environment in such a manner that you don't have much influence in terms of how you live. I posted a few videos about Einstein, and I think he has the same attitude. So many masters have the sense, you might call it the self-confidence, as to which path to take. If I can remember Einstein, I mentioned that in one of the videos, that, let me think through it. Be comfortable of being yourself and don't use your energy for those which requires your thinking or memorizing. I'm kind of summarizing it. What it means should be aligned to know yourself and know your mission, and then sort things out, prioritize things with samadhi at the core. At this turbulent or turmoil situation, someone reported that all the oligarchs, the Amazon, Bezos, and all the other 3-4 major guys who has hundreds of $billions, has lost a fair chunk of money. And Warren Buffett gained $23 billion or some such figure when people are losing money. Because he was prepared and put lots of cash reserve, which I was wondering and I emulate in a way. But my excuse is that I wasn't confident enough, didn't sell more, but that's what it is. So I don't look at the portfolio, the price, and whatever the money I may be losing. But I think that's also is the case of when in the storm, you need to have some core in your being. That's your heart. That's that heart at the center. Things happen. I mentioned that the tree analogy of life, the root has to be steady. Branches may be broken, as it should at times, in the storm especially. But if you are rooted, you do better. And you don't have to compare with others because you are living your own life. And that's your accountability and ownership. So that relates to this saying of Charlie Munger, don't be envious because happiness, if you depend on others, you're not confident in yourself. I laugh at it. So it's kind of like an eternal truth. And then what happened, I don't know, related to this turmoil, the sense I have. When these things happen, people tend to go back to the root. And one idea, along with those thoughts that I shared, is that the Eight Noble Path. So actually, Daisetsu said at his old age, he was talking about Eight Noble Path, but he said he may not remember all or something like that. And I thought, well, that sounds about right, because you don't want to carry unnecessary words, knowledge, inventories if you are living. But still, it's like a yardstick. So let's look at the Eight Noble Path. Altogether, it represents sheela, samadhi, panna. That's how Goenka, who led the 10-day course and more of Vipassana, and which I had this awakening experience. So I keep talking about samadhi as the main point to connect to the root. But along with it, sheela is right conduct. People translate sheela as moral conduct. But I think I go beyond that, right conduct. Not just in the society to how to live, but beyond that, right conduct. And then samadhi is no mind, no self, no ego. And the sheela samadhi, panna is wisdom and compassion. So let's see if I can reconstruct how this works. First one is shoken in Japanese, meaning right observation. Let's leave it like that. You see things as it is. Number two, say shi, shoken shoshi, right thinking. If you do the right thinking, actually the right thinking should represent the wisdom. But if you know that, you practice that, the way of thinking. That's a tricky one because if you have an envious mind, you're not aligned to this right thinking. Number three is shogo, right word, use of word. So you can relate to right thinking is like a logic of how you go through it to make a decision, and using the right word is the number three along with that. So the three of them represent, again, if you see well, think well, and use the right word, then you are doing pretty good. Number four, segyo, right behavior. So not just the brain, but the body part has to act upon that. So actually, this is beginning to see it as a part of sheela, the right behavior. Number five, right shome, right work, right orientation, right mission. Yeah, that's right. That's how I see it. Right attitude, right mission. And the number six is right shojin, right effort. So in your act, you have the right behavior, right act, right approach, and right effort. And then number seven is shonen, right awareness, if I call that. You may have to study this on your own, but I'm just going with the flow. And shonen, that's the awareness. And number eight is shoujo, right steadiness. It's kind of like I say, right shoujo, right power. Yeah, shoriki. It's corresponding to that. What's behind to be in that steady orientation that you have. So you can look at those 8 on your own, 8 noble paths, and you may find that those 3 key elements, sheela, samadhi, panna, may correspond to that. Sheela may be related to number 4, 5, and 6, right, at behavior and work and effort. That's sheela. And the 7 and 8 is samadhi, right awareness and right mind, meaning the samadhi state. And the number 1, 2, 3 is when you do that, you have the right observation and thinking and the way of how you use your word. So you can call this perhaps like a CAPD, starting with check, act, plan, do. And people call PDCA, but I like to start with check always. And this is the same, that if you do things right with a calm and quiet mind, you have a way to find the right path, and therefore you go through the cycle like a PDCA, sheela, samadhi, panna, repeatedly. So this is how you can get rid of delusion, but there's no you because you are just devoting in it. So it's a effortless effort. You are state of the being to realize all these things to happen. But there's certain effort, especially related to this 8 noble paths, to get it to this is the teaching of what to do. So these are the stuff on the blackboard or whiteboard or whatever you call it. But you listen and you may nod, but the nodding is not what it is. You have to live with it. So you may remember this, but the practice is continuous and being in the now, samadhi, more often than not, to come up with panna, the wisdom, compassion, and then have that as the right conduct. And then you may still miss and delude it, and envy and all that stuff may pop up. Then come back to this right mindfulness. Some people mindful, it should be mindlessness of samadhi. So that's 8 noble paths. But again, it depends on each person. It's not the knowledge to hear and think you got it and go do the same thing. Then you're not practicing it. So it's the same as CAPD. Check what's going on, act upon what you see as needed, develop a way to exercise, and act upon it. So you do it in the brain part of it, but you do it in the whole of your existence. And it has to be going on continuously. And I check, in my case, every 3 months, life profile, every day, black dot exercise, and the moment to moment, just being aware, and have the session like a meditation as a way for 20 minutes every day. I share this on the video. So having that steadiness, joriki, steady power, developed and connecting to the root, and along with living life, we may realize what to do, what to learn from mistake, if there is mistake. acceptance, opening up, and sit quietly, calm and quiet mind, or stand, and whatever you do, you can do it. You can get to the point of being able to do it. And then each of the panna is like a mini awakening, and you can have it in your construct as a good habit to go against the bad habit, to live the right way. So it may be moving target as the situation change externally and internally, but that's the game, if you want to call that, and be good at it. Sangha is the term for the group of people who subscribe those ideas and share. So they have the group notion of, checking and balancing and developing the movement. So that may become like a religious organization, this and that, and they have their own orientation, the guru and how they teach, and they may still orient certain people to in that sector, in this sector, even occult. So it's like a tree maybe growing in a different way, and where you fit or not fit, or you do your own, it's up to you. But you can be weak to just tie into some big tree and thinking that's the right one, but you never know unless you really understood and apply that and keep on going on your own. Ultimately, you need to be on your own. That's what the Buddha's case said it. Don't just believe what I say, test it and see if it works. It's one of those saying or sutra. But he left those words and teachings and let things happen. So it's a fairly big tree that has grown, but has to be tested even in a situation like this that we may be going through. Have a good day. May all beings be happy.